Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, Patriotic Front leader Michaela Pandey has criticized Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessor, the new Queen of Trinidad and Tobago, Queen Empress and all, Empress Thanos Kamala, for her comments regarding Wednesday's protest in Port of Spain, accusing the Prime Minister of responding with contempt instead of addressing citizens' concerns exactly. And we all know Kamala would have never been reacting in this way if she was still opposition leader. And if Rowley was the one responding in this type of heartless way like Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessor, Kamala would have been condemning and criticizing Rowley the same way Michaela is doing. Do I know for sure that Michaela is being genuine about it? And if she ends up in power, she would do any different? I don't know. All I know, what she's saying right now about now is correct. Michaela Pandey is correct. The protest was held to highlight the discontent over the police's decision to issue warrants for the arrest of Kaya Silly and the death of her common-law husband, Joshua Samaru, during a police-involved shooting incident in January. In the statement yesterday, Pandey described the Prime Minister's response as extremely disappointing. I will say it's despicable as well. Saying calls for national leaders to lower the temperature had instead been met with insults directed at protesters. Exactly. What the Prime Minister is doing right now is angering the population even more. How wonderful of you, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessor. Pandey took issue with remarks in which the Prime Minister referred to protesters as grifters, accused some citizens of publicity farming, and dismissed public concerns as victim gimmickry. You could imagine that. You could imagine if Rowley was the one that made these statements. The pushback movement, the whole UNC crew, the whole Growing Report would have been outraged and would have been saying, dictator, 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 and rightfully so, rightfully so. But because it's Kamala that said it, oh, well, you know, she's just trying to defend the law. Everything that was about the law. Nobody was studying the law when Rowley was in office and abusing the law, you know. But now you're at Kamala, now that we're in charge, the whole narrative has changed, even with the Ground Report crew, even with Andy Williams and Lennox Smith. And Andy Williams, no, the caller was correct. Lennox Smith does not hold the government accountable, even like how you are doing to an extent. And even you, while you are opposing certain things like the fees and the fines and the manner in which CPAP was closed down, you are not passionate about the situation. You are not standing up with the people the way you would have done if Rowley was still in office. And even with the protesters, you wouldn't have been criticizing the protesters. You would have been out there protesting with them. Admit it, Andy Williams. You would have never been so diplomatic about this situation if Rowley was still in office. So, according to Pandey, such comments were not leadership, but rather the language of a Prime Minister who would rather insult citizens than answer questions. The Patriotic Front leader also criticized the Prime Minister for questioning whether protesters had been, or where protesters had been during the more than 5,000 murders recorded over the last decade. Pandey argued that many of the same citizens and groups had consistently spoken out about crime over the years through marches, protests, and candlelight vigils, while urging the governments to take stronger action. And you know what's the only difference? Back then, the pushback movement, the UNC crew, were part of those protests. Nowadays, they're just blindly supporting the government because we're in charge. That's what I'm telling you. Politics matters more than anything else. Now, of course, we all know that a lot more PNM people will be in these protests as well. But as Pandey said, a lot of these individuals that are in these protests now were also in protests back under Rowley. So this is not only about politics. Yes, of course, the PNM will take advantage of it. And they have all rights to do so. Who wouldn't do that? But at the end of the day, a lot of these protesters are genuinely seeking for justice, seeking for accountability and transparency. She further noted that Persad-Bissessor served as leader of the opposition throughout that period during those protests. and question what sustained anti-crime initiatives or alternative policies had been presented to the country during that time. Can Queen Kamala, answer that question? My response: Queen Kamala has become an arrogant and demonic dictator, just like the former Emperor Rowley. No PNM people come on my thing and feel as though I side in with PNM now, eh? Right. In some ways, she's even more evil though and vindictive, because she pretended to be a caring mother during the election campaign, but then transformed into a heartless tyrant on April 29th, 2025. She did tell the people that she really did change her, but I never believed it was to this kind of way. I thought she was just going to be a stronger leader, but still show compassion. All compassion has left Empress Thanos Kamala. Even though Rowley was a pathological liar, at least citizens knew that they were also voting for a bill in 2015 and 2020. They already knew that. Manning said it. He's a raging bull, so people knew it. He never deceived people in that sense. He lied about a lot of other things. Email gate and the government is not closing down petrol train. You know, Rowley used to lie. But his personality never changed. We always knew he was a bully, and he still is a bully. Kamala, on the other hand, acted as though she was an angel, and now she's a devil. I never voted for PNM and never will. But Kamala has now utterly destroyed Pandey's party, and therefore I will never vote for them again unless the elders rise up and remove her as political leader and prime minister. Rise up in a legal way, because you know the police and you know the government. I mean through the legitimate constitutional way. I am sure it has a way for the UNC party to be able to vote, have an emergency meeting and have a vote to remove Kamala as political leader. And if they can't, definitely, the members, the MPs in this government can unite together and say we need to save our country and save the party itself. Because I'm telling you, if you leave Kamala in office, UNC is dead. There's no chance of UNC winning ever again in the future. So you can call for a vote of no confidence in Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessam. And if there's a constitutional way in your party to remove her as leader as well, that will even be better. So don't come and try to say that I am inciting anything. I'm saying do it the legal way, do it the constitutional way. A vote of no confidence in Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessam. Director of Public Prosecutions Roger Gaspard has issued a warning to the media and social media users, I guess probably people like myself as well, not to publish any material which has the potential to prejudice the right of the state or the right of any person charged in Joshua Samru's matter. Yeah, right. You really care about the Joshua Samru side of it. To a fair trial. Gaspard's warning came as a statement to media houses Friday night, because the media is holding the TTPS accountable, and rightfully so. The Kakash media, but I will stand in solidarity with them when they're doing the right thing. I don't really care even about the agenda. What they are doing right now is serving the interests of the people, not the party. What they are doing right now is serving the interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The Kakash media, yes, I am commending, I'm applauding at this point in time. Because politics doesn't matter to me. The people of Trinidad and Tobago, my fellow citizens, and our rights, about democratic rights, is what matters to me. My response, all of a sudden, the DPP is trying to censor members of the media. To me, it's very clear that these state officials are attempting to silence Ian Allen more than any other journalist. I believe this is more about Ian Allen than the Kakash media, because Ian Allen is the one that is taking a very strong stance in this particular case and in a lot of other cases recently, exposing a lot of corruption within the TTPS. And I'm very proud of Ian Allen for doing that, because in the past he was far too soft with the TTPS. He used to side with them a lot of the times when he shouldn't. And now he's taking a stand against them. He still loves police, you know. He's still a police lover. But he is holding them accountable when they need to. When he needs to, and that is very good. I must commend Ian Allen for doing so.
Weather report for Trinidad and Tobago on Saturday, May 30, 2026. Rain and isolated thunderstorms are expected across Trinidad and Tobago on Saturday, May 30, 2026 due to an incoming tropical wave. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service predicts initially sunny, hazy, and breezy conditions. The weather will become partly cloudy to cloudy by late morning, bringing periods of rain and a moderate chance of heavy afternoon showers. High temperatures will reach 30 degrees Celsius to 32 degrees Celsius with overnight lows around 24 degrees Celsius. It will feel like 33 degrees Celsius during the day. Wind gusts up to 45 kilometers per hour are possible, especially near heavy downpours. The tropical wave will bring temporary relief from Saharan dust, but a new dust event is expected to return on Sunday. If you plan to go out on the water, seas will remain moderate. Waves will reach 1.5 to 2.0 meters in open waters and near 1.0 meter in sheltered areas. Note that spring tides are currently in effect, which can cause higher than usual tides.
International news now. The UFC arena on the White House lawn is taking shape. The big event will be on June 14th in honor of America's 250th birthday this year. And Trump has teased the fight will be the greatest show on earth. While hosting fighters at the White House earlier this month, the president showed photos of what everything would look like, with the White House smack dab in the background and 4,000 up-close seats surrounding the octagon. It sounds really interesting, really nice. I look forward to seeing news reports about it. Just make sure it is properly secured, because you know the radical left and the jihadists outside there might use this as an opportunity to do you know what. A recent video shows that Iran used bulldozers and evacuation trucks to reopen at least 50 entrances to 18 underground missile sites during the ceasefire that Trump agreed to, and returned missiles and launchers that U.S.-Israeli attackers closed inside mountain shelters during this wonderful ceasefire. They're always doing that, playing for time. Trump always starts a good job and then does tatter in the end. He did a good job in Venezuela, and he has left a tyrant, Delcy, in charge. He is continuing to torture the lives of Cubans instead of just doing a job in Cuba, removing the communists. It's either you are going to do the job and remove the dictators in Cuba, or remove all those embargoes, Trump, because it's the people of Cuba that are suffering right now. And what you're doing is evil at this point in time. To the Cuban people, I don't care about the government. I want you to remove the government. But what you're doing to the people of Cuba is evil at this point in time. And Iran, what you're doing to the Iranians is evil as well, because you're allowing that Ayatollah demonic regime to stay in charge. And they continue to massacre all the opponents, continue to massacre all protesters in Iran. And they continue to pose a serious threat to Israel. And they will continue to fund their proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis as well, provide them with weapons and so forth. You play games just because you just want to be remembered as the man of peace. So I keep telling people he has the spirit of the Antichrist upon him. I love what he does in America in a lot of ways, not every way. I think that they're overdoing it with the immigration. I think that they're allowing ICE to abuse their authority. ICE serves a good purpose. Get rid of the violent criminals. Get rid of the violent criminals and the gang members and stuff like that. And of course, yes, you protect your borders, and you could even apprehend illegal immigrants. But the deportation process has to be done in a much more compassionate way. And I don't believe in mass deportation either. I do believe in giving people chances, just like how we're here in Trinidad and Tobago, we gave a lot of Venezuelan chances. I was never against it under the PNM, and I'm still not against it even under the UNC, to give them a chance. Yes, what they did was wrong by coming here illegally. But the Bible says to show love and compassion even for the immigrants. Even for the immigrants. The Bible says that you're supposed to leave a certain amount of your crops available for the poor to pass to the edge of your fields, and the immigrants. So what the Republicans are doing, they're too extreme when it pertains to the immigrants. As I said, protect your borders and so forth. But They're being too extreme about this whole thing. They're being too extreme about it. But other things, standing up for morality, standing up for God, standing up for traditional forms of relationships and values, standing up against the radical left's evil agenda. That is all good that Trump does. But you see what it pertains to the Middle East, he's playing too many games because he wants to accomplish this peace thing. And as I said before, that is because he has the spirit of the Antichrist upon him. Will he end up being the actual man of sin? Who knows? Who knows? At this point in time, he's still lacking some of the characteristics. But at some, who knows? Maybe before 2028, the Antichrist has to be revealed. So who knows? Maybe Trump is the Antichrist. But at this point, I still don't believe so. But he definitely has the spirit of the Antichrist upon him. 15 rockets were launched from Lebanon into Israel overnight. All were intercepted except one, which caused significant damage. Hundreds of thousands of Israelis also ended up spending the night in shelters. My response, and partially Amir Safati's response, they call this a ceasefire, including Trump is calling this a ceasefire. And when Israel retaliates, the world condemns them instead of the terrorists like Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthis. You will never hear this from the Kakash media. You will never hear this from the jihadists, BBC and CNN, because all they care about are the jihadists, the terrorists around the world. They despise Israel and they don't believe that Israel has a right to defend themselves and their citizens. And this is why I always support when Israel carries out preemptive strikes against these terrorists like Hezbollah and so forth, because they are being proactive instead of reactive when they do those things. Because when you end up just abiding by these ceasefires, this is what ends up taking place. Thank God no one lost their life in this case.
Bible quote of the day. Romans 5:12-15. Therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, and in this way death came to all people because all sinned. To be sure, sin was in the world before the law was given, but sin is not charged against anyone's account where there is no law. Nevertheless, death reigned from the time of Adam to the time of Moses, even over those who did not sin by breaking a command, as did Adam, who is a pattern of the one to come. But the gift is not like the trespass. For if the many died by the trespass of the one man, how much more did God's grace and the gift that came by the grace of the one man, Jesus Christ, overflow to the many?
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.